Mike Mignola's involvement in this was massively important because we really wanted to reconnect with the source material in order to relaunch the franchise and create something new and something that hadn't really been represented the same way on screen before. I think the world of Hellboy is really kind of dark and gothic, and we wanted to approach this really leaning on that.
The origin story that it tells for Hellboy is baked into the story of the Wild Hunt. It created an opportunity to do a Hellboy movie that was more faithful to what Mike Mignola had created.
This one feels very different than the other films. While it's not a direct adaptation of one of my stories, it's taken so many pieces of so many of my stories and fit them together in a way that really works.
The answer to every single threat we face can't be extermination. There has to be a world where monsters don't have to hide in the shadows, living in fear.
It's a great story because it forces Hellboy to confront his destiny. At the same time, we get to tell his origin in a way that's never been told in any of the earlier movies.
No! I don't know what your game is here, but I'm done playing!
It's a darker Hellboy. It's a Hellboy with more internal struggle and with more sort of torture. And then it's also a more horror gothic Hellboy than the other ones.
There are so many moments that are directly from the comic. There's so much dialogue in the script that is taken directly from the comic. With 25 years of a comic book, you've got so many different stories and so many different characters to pick and choose from. And I think with this one, the focus is one particular story, but bringing in enough elements from the other Hellboy stories and the Hellboy-related characters that you get the story I created, but you also get a look at a bigger Hellboy world.
I love the story, and I love that it was based very on the comics. And then, we took some time and we developed the script and we developed the story a little further and sort of carved out what we wanted to say. And, all those guys are very amenable to that process of shaping this thing so that we get a really good movie.
For me, it's actually fun to kind of get a second chance to create Hellboy. I did it for the comic, we sort of did it on the other movies, and now it's another chance to say, okay, we're doing in some ways something that's much more close to my material, but we're creating a new variation on the Mignola Hellboy.
One of the things that I find really strange about reboots is that people tend to have to gravitate toward one or another. And I know that coming from a theater background, I've seen the play Hamlet 20 times with 20 different actors. And to me, each actor brings out or highlights a different quality in the character. And so this is another color of the rainbow that is Hellboy. And perhaps it's a darker swath or patch of those colors. But I think that both sort of have their place. I had been playing this role on a television show where he was kind of wildly out of shape and stuff. So I wound up going to the gym a lot and just getting strength training and worked on explosive power moves and some powerlifting. And then I got here to Bulgaria, and for a couple weeks before, I did a lot of stunt training with the guys here. And it's been great. They really know how to get me looking good and in shape. But I also, one of the qualities I like about Hellboy is he's kind of messy as a fighter. I mean, he's kind of a brawler. He's not really a trained martial artist or a trained MMA guy who really knows how to move. There's a rough and tumble nature to it, which I think I bring to it, which I like. So kind of the less trained I am, I think it sort of works for the character in that way. Because it is such a different entity, I needed something to rehearse before so that I could understand the dynamics of how it reads, like something as big as this and something as dramatic as this. So I went to a sporting goods store in New York and I got a wetsuit, which I applied like a bunch of weird stuff to, and I got a boxing like sparring gear that I put some stuff and some hair onto, and I got like a big old hockey glove and some shin pads that I sewed together for like the big hand and stuff. So I just developed this thing that I could rehearse in, so that I would be at home or in my trailer and I would put all this nonsense on and I'd just like sort of walk around and feel how it moved and sort of look at how it read at certain points. It's almost like learning an entirely new language for your body.
Nice.
We did a makeup test in Los Angeles kind of early on, and when I first saw it kind of on the model, I was like scared. I was like, I don't want to have a face where it's not going to be me anymore, and you can't see expression, you can't see life and stuff. But then he applied it, and we put it on, and it actually moves great, and there is a lot of expression in it, and it does, take on a life of its own.
Hello.
What was impressive was how quickly you started to look past the makeup and just accepted that David in the makeup just existed in the world. It just felt so real. You just started accepting it as reality.
Yes, it's a comic book character, but we want it to look real, hence the hair, hence the realistic anatomy to the body. And a lot of that is moles and, freckles and what have you, little scars and, the stuff that we all have that we accumulate, just because we're alive.
What I really wanted to bring to it was you do have this monster, but instead of playing the monster, you play the monster, this beating heart inside of him.
What they say about me's true. It's written all over my body, and only now am I coming to accept it.
What?
My true face. I saw it when I touched the sword. The monster.
It's interesting to see emotion with these yellow eyes, because you have an initial, kind of scared feeling about these eyes and this whole thing. It's snake-like, it's demonic.
Hello, son.
But then when you're able to see true emotion behind it and true thought behind it, it really gives me a really interesting experience. It's like, whoa, like, it kind of stretches my heart. And that's sort of what I ultimately want in acting in general. It's just to feel empathy for all sorts of human beings that are weird, and now all sorts of half demons that are, maybe not in your normal purview.
That's one.
I think there's one critical way that this movie reveals Hellboy in a way that's never been done before, and that is largely due to David Harbour's performance. The emotional journey that this character goes on is much richer than anyone will be expecting.